So thank you everybody for joining us. My name's Coach Pav. Delighted to be sharing and demoing with you today the what has been called HumanGO 2.0. Obviously, today we're focusing on the coaches. So Rae, actually, if I can hand over to you, do you want to introduce yourself? Ray's going to be leading our demo today. So thank you, Rae.
Yeah, thanks, Pav. This is so exciting because this is 2.0, the first live demo that we've done. Pav has led a lot of the product side of things today, and certainly from the coach's perspective has been front and center in the team for that. So if I have a momentary misstep in my explanations or descriptions today, I'm absolutely going to defer to Pav. But we've both, as you probably all know, already recorded a bunch of how-to videos to help you in this transition. So hopefully today is just more of a recap of what we've already sent to you and what you already have access to. The emails that Pav sent you the last week have all of those videos that I reference. And then, of course, we also have our help center where if you go to need help, you can check out all our videos here, all our how-to videos here, both on the web and the mobile. So hopefully we've covered, the resources that you need to get your head around HumanGO 2.0. So the view on the desktop's the same. You're going to scroll through your athletes on the right-hand side of the screen till you choose the athlete that you want to actually view and edit. And we're picking on Pav today. I think Pav's been doing more dog walking in the last few weeks than anything else, and this is the product of launching a new app version. I would say it'd be fair to say.
Absolutely.
So the first thing that you're going to notice is the plan view, and I'll just sort of start with what sort of seems most obvious to begin. So before you would get the month view, but now you can select the week view. You can scroll backwards and forwards easily from the toggle here to see your athletes training. And another really cool, I would consider quick way of viewing the week for your athlete is just selecting the date in the drop-down calendar here, and you can scroll even by month. So it's a really sharp way, I think, anyway, of moving through the display of your athlete's program, depending on how you like to review it and depending on, I guess, what action you're wanting to make on any one particular day. From the week view, it's just the classic, like drag and drop function here. All the things that, I guess were sort of there on the mobile before, now much more accessible on the web version. We can open up the workout here and see the details of it really simply. If we want to edit the workout, we can do that here. So I'm not going to go into the functions because these are all functions that you've been able to do in the past. These are not new. It's just what we really wanted to do is show you how easy it is to access these today. So I'm going to close out of that. The other thing I can do is use this drop-down menu here, and that gives me the quick edit option here as well. Now that's for a future workout. If I want to look at a past workout, and it wouldn't be a workout here that necessarily, it's going to be one like this here. We have the option to edit from the three little dot icon, and we have the option to like a workout as well, and add to favorites. Just to be very clear, we are in the process of improving how, as a coach, you're going to use this. So at the moment, it's saying, yeah, I like this workout, please consider it a little bit more in my workout selection. But what we're wanting to do is really prioritize the workouts that you're liking for your athletes. So don't expect that that's going to change how that workout shows up in the program too much yet. But that is something that's coming, which we're pretty excited about, actually.
Absolutely. If I might just add to that as well, Rae, one of the features which I'm sure we don't mind sharing today is the opposite to liking a workout, which is excluding a workout, which is something a lot of coaches have asked us for. Obviously, you might not want your clients to see that I hate Coach Pav intervals or anything that's been designed by myself or, Rae or Daniela Reef or anything like that. And there will be a really easy way to exclude that coming very soon.
Yeah, well done. One of the new display features, and again, it doesn't have to be a deep dive, but you can notice here on the top of each week, we have a few new displays. The first one being the total, in this case, it's distance, but actual against planned for that week. If you want to change how you view that, you can come over to the configure icon, top right-hand side, and show the weekly summary as either duration or load. So I can just select that to change that. So that just gives you the quick sort of overview of what has been done compared to what was planned based on those metrics. And we have this quick little replan this week option here. So again, rather than going into the replan icon here and setting the parameters, I can just replan this week for the athlete if I choose. So another way of just, expediting that step for you as a coach and giving you another option on that master function of the replan feature. Is there anything? Oh, and of course our weather icon. I won't see that here, but on your calendar, because this is set for Pav, on your calendar, your own calendar, when you're viewing, you'll actually see a weather icon pop up at the top of the day, which is going to be leveraged a little bit more in the future. It's step one of many to come in using weather to adapt the actual training specifics. So that's something to look out for as well. Pav, anything else that you'd like me to show on the calendar view or the plan view?
One of the things I love as a coach, and not to name the platform I was using before using HumanGO, but that platform certainly made it easier, was being able to drag and drop a workout when I'm adding a workout. So I don't know whether you mind opening up that the workout library sidebar, Rae, and just touring that for me. You can add some horrible intervals to my plan or something.
Well, I'll serve you up something that that you've designed, shall I?
Yeah, taste of my own medicine. Taste of my own medicine.
There we go. So yeah, I've selected the workouts icon on the right-hand side here, and that brings up immediate access to the workout library where the workouts are filtered by index. So you know how we have our family of workouts, you get to choose specifically which iteration of that family. So here, because I've selected PAV, everybody knows the I hate PAV intervals. And why would I go to the easiest? I'm just going to go to the top one right here. And I'm going to drag and drop. Oh, maybe, yeah, I'm going to drag and drop that into Pav's training schedule for this Sunday.
Brilliant. Like to thank you for that, Rae.
No problem. Let me know how that goes.
Yeah, absolutely. So also I'm going to just add to that. As you can see above the little blue, purpley rather search bar icon button rather, there is the add or replace, and obviously swapping between those. Rae just added one to there, but you can also toggle to replace, drag and drop, and if Rae was to do I hate Coach Pav intervals onto say tomorrow's, it would actually replace that. It will only replace sport for sport, so you can't do can't change my run that I'm going to do today, hopefully, with a bike workout. But for me, this has become a heavy week already now.
We love you, Pav.
Yeah.
You can also use the filter and go sort of deep level with in the same way that you could if you go straight from the workout library icon on the left-hand side of the screen. You can go directly to that here, and you can filter by those specifics as well. So a huge upgrade in how coaches can access the workout library and then filter the specificity of the workout that you would like to add or replace on any one given day. And then to close that, all you have to do is select the little icon again. I got a little caught up on that the first time I saw it. Like, how do I get rid of that? So we're just selecting on or off that icon to close that out. Let's go over to goals, shall we? Yeah, I think this is our second most exciting upgrade. We're in the goals. We used to have information sort of spread all over the desktop and the mobile for that matter. We now have this sitting under one place where you can come select the goals icon, and you can also come back and view from here the training plan. We're going to see at the top here the upcoming goals, so whatever goals the athlete has, and then down has coming up, and then down below that, goals that this athlete has completed here. This is where, yeah, you can actually see the specifics of the goal. You can edit it straight from here. And I won't go through all these steps again. They're all steps that you're familiar with. It's just really making sure that you understand how you can access that. But when it comes to the goal specificity, when we talk about the biggest upgrade of how we're kind of managing that expectation around how you want your athlete to approach the goal, or how you've agreed with your athlete they're going to approach the goal, this here, what's your target, talks to the intention behind the intensity or the application of the athlete to that goal. So, and these are very accurate descriptors of how you as a coach would be prescribing the workout. So discover the distance talks to, hey, I want to get across the finish line. I'm not going to push myself. I'm not going to bust myself to for a PR or anything like that, but I want to be comfortable. I want to be ready to cover the distance. So that's the discover distance. The challenge yourself is it's one step up. So maybe we're looking at a more seasoned athlete, but maybe not multiples of seasons, where they're kind of ready to discover how hard they could push a specific leg or a certain format of event, or distance, say, for example. So that would be challenge yourself, push yourself, maybe shooting for a PB, and have a really strong and confident day out. Be competitive, of course, that's the one that Pav's got set here. Prepare to hit the personal best possible, and be competitive in the field. Now, of course, that's all relative, right? Like, well, there's no guarantee that you're actually going to be competitive in the field, but push your limits is the intention here. And then you can also set a custom target times that then drives the race pace workouts for that goal. So this is sort of taking away that, I guess, extra deep dive that you might want to take into the phases of a season in the past, and really tweak the intensity and the fatigue tolerance of the athlete. This is sort of like the first point of call now for you as a coach to say, hey, this is kind of the intention my athlete wants to take here with the goal. And you can set that, and it sort of sets a really nice sort of starting point for your athlete. And from here, a new feature is being able to specify, rather than going into the phases and edit the phase, the number of taper and recovery days. And you can take them out completely as well. And if you decide that all of these edits that you've added to your athlete's goal are wrong, or you just want to start all over again, we now have the reset to default for most functions in the season for you now as a coach, which I think is really nice, because even if for a period of time you come in and you make an adjustment here, you can always come back and just default back to HumanGO's recommendations as your baseline again.
Yeah, thank you, Rae. I'm just going to add to that really quickly. Two things that we've heard so much as a request from our users is that the time target for an event, but also something which I'm sure you're going to share in a moment. I don't want to get ahead of ourselves, but the custom legs as well, right? That being able to adjust and set a distance, that's not necessarily a standard. It's not often, but Grand Fondos, we have 100K and 100 miles, and very rarely do they always go into that. So yeah. Awesome addition. Thank you, Rae.
So when you're setting up a goal, you have the same options. I'm editing a goal effectively right now, but you'll see in the UI the same options exist when you add a goal as well. So that's this first option here. We also have the option to edit the training week. Now, I will go into that now. In fact, we could have talked about the training week before we even came into the goal, but I think this is where you sort of see the two come together. So editing the training week. This is the training week that applies to this goal. And if Pav had other goals here, I could select this drop down and they would be listed. And that way I can look at each of the training weeks for each of the goals just by selecting the drop down here. So again, just looking at ease of access to the training weeks that you have established for your athletes from the one screen here. So high level, this is the number of workouts per sport for this athlete. So this is Pav's sort of general schedule for his cycling ultra event. I can turn the days off here. I can edit the workout. So these have been added for a reason. I can make them default start time long. I can look at different focuses in the same way we used to do that. Again, no new features here, just how you access it and how easy it is to just select this workout. I want it to be focused on this zone and I want it to be this long. And this is how I want to apply it to all the different phases, all in one screen. So this is really darn cool. And when I talk about the phases, here you'll actually see that being exposed. So for this workout, for each of the phases in this race, this is the amount of time that's been dedicated to that session. But if I want to customize them, I can as well. How cool is that? Like everything about that training session is accessed on the one screen.
For me, this is, excellent. The customization, it's, we've always had been able to really do a lot with the AI and, flavor it for us as coaches, but it always used to be in very kind of almost sporadic and very different places. And now, yeah, it's all under one screen for the most part. So yeah, love it.
I can drag and drop from here as well. Right, I won't do that because that's going to change the whole week for Pav. Although we've already messed with that, haven't you? You've got that's all right. Yes, so drag and drop, turn it off. I can also add a workout here in the same way as I would go through editing a session that's already on the program. I can also come through here and add a session as well. What you'll notice is when you do that this number here changes as well. So now when you make the adjustments on the training week, you'll actually see the relationship between adding that extra session, where it is, and the specificity that you've added to that workout, plus the total time in the training week adjust here as well. So that's high level, all the adjustments for the training week. Now, if I want to get super specific, I'm going to select the wizard icon here. And this sort of referring back to that default, how aggressive do I want to go after my goal? But HumanGO has some recommendations here. Of course, as a coach, you can always add a custom value. So I want to go a little easier, ideal for you, given your fitness and the ramp and the distance of the goal. These are recommendations that HumanGO is giving you. I want to go a little harder, or I can add a custom value here, right? I could make it 20 hours instead of 18. So where we're looking now is the number of sports. So an easy way of adding extra sessions per sport to that training week can be done here. What the regular sessions look like. So the default can be manual, and it can also be set by phase here as well, or customizable. And you can do that for each sport within that training week. So this is just another way of kind of collating all the specificity around how many sessions per sport and the level of intensity or the time spent in each of these sports for the blocks on your training week. So I would say most of the time you can do this once and you're really only making high level adjustments on the week, but understand that after doing this sort of baseline, going into the wizard and making sure that all that specificity is there for you, for your athlete, is really important. So I would say that's a little bit hidden, but I would also say that although it's something that I think increases the ability for you to be very specific about your athlete's training plan, it's all in one spot now. So that's where you're going to go to set most of the specifics around your athlete's training plan.
Yeah, I would agree, Ray. Sorry to interrupt. I would just say that, yeah, you're absolutely right. Like that little wizard wand icon is probably something that you might do once a year with your athletes. It's really, and unless there were massive life changes, change a job, or, athlete has kids or something, then really like the level, the view that Ray is on right now is all you're going to need to change once you've set them up. So really handy. And we can also, actually, that's a very good point. We can also show how to adjust this directly from the calendar as well, which is, possible. So you don't even need to come to the screen sometimes.
We were looking at it from here. The last thing, which is on the edit goals overview option, is to set the distance. So this is what Pav was talking about before. Now you have the option of setting the absolute distance for the goal. And this is also where you can upload the map for the race plan. so that you can get the race plan by interval and prescribed power or heart rate or pace for that event.
Absolutely. So I'm going to add to this as well. Obviously, I'm doing a cycling event. If you had a triathlon in here, for example, you would see swim, bike, run. You can customize each. You can also remove, add, and I'm not the multi-sport coach here, Ray, so correct me if I'm wrong, but for stuff like duathlons where you can be doing multiple, you can go back in and out of doing more than one leg of one sport and stuff like that. So really is totally customizable for multi-sport too.
Yeah, absolutely. So what's missing here, because to Pav's point, it's a single sport event, you would have 3 legs here, and at the bottom there's another icon that will pop up that says add a leg. You specify what sport you want that to be, what distance you want it to be, so you can create a no-TO type swim run event. You can do an aqua bike, a duathlon, multi-leg, multi-sport, whatever you want, basically, distance-wise and leg-wise and sequence-wise. So this is where you can customize that goal for your athlete. Yeah. All right, so that's the first option. When I'm editing my goal, I come to overview. The phases is the next section, very similar to what you used to. We don't need to go into that. You can edit them and delete them and add a new phase like you always have been able to. If Pav had a sub goal in his season, that would show up here as well in the phases, but he doesn't, so we're not seeing that here. You can see that there is no sub goal here. What this is highlighting is how we are now treating goals differently. Before we had A, B, and C race, it was pretty confusing because we did deal with those slightly differently, but maybe wasn't so fluid in how the planner or the season periodization was planned out. Now we have 2 options. One is our A goal, and the second is the sub goal. The sub goal sits as literally a sub goal to that A goal, and everything else is derived around the training load progression and performance for the A race. So no C races anymore, and very easy to add a sub goal to that. And let's be really, so that's in the 24th of August. How about a 5K in a couple of weeks? It can be fun, right?
A 5K can be fun, I think. Yeah,
right.
Sure.
And we don't need a taper. So to continue your plan, you can see now that this fun 5K has been added as a sub goal to his ultra cycling race here. I can also, in the same way I can edit a goal from the overview here, I can also deal with that sub goal here by selecting the 3 dot icon. And then of course we've got our race plan, which is not new. It functions the same way as it always has, and is visible under each of the individual goals that you have, including the sub goals, which you just saw. If I want to add a goal, which is effectively what you just saw, I'm just going to select the plus icon here. Participate in a race, challenge yourself for improved performance. And there's another one down here hidden, improve general fitness. So, these are a little bit more what we would call off season, I guess, but also too for maybe somebody that's coming to you that has been away from racing and training for a very long time, just wants to set a baseline fitness without having a finite goal race. Improve performance, which looks at specificity around absolutes within the fitness range, so VO2, endurance, strength, power, focus, and then the improved general fitness is more of a general fitness plan for an athlete that might fit into that category as well. Participate in a race, and we would just follow through here. See down the bottom here, you can actually select the closest distance as it says, and then you're going to be doing some mountain biking. You're into a whole new crazy season here.
That's okay. Now I have to buy a new bike.
Yeah, oh, yeah. Well, see, you can thank me later. And then you can see here now as Hugo's adding that, it's picking up a baseline based on the previous goal settings for PAV, maximum of 7 hours, which is obviously a lot lower, number of bike rides and run, but I can come in here straight away and design my training week for that goal. And what you'll see here is now I have mountain biking, which is the goal that I've just added that I can edit, but I can also toggle back to the cycling ultra and see what I had set up for him for that race. And if I want to mirror that, it's easy because I can just toggle between the two goals here, or I can just stay on the mountain bike and I can set up that week the way I want it to be set up from this page here. So I'm going to cancel out of that. We don't need to do that.
Yeah.
So I talked before about a couple of things that other than the training week and the specificity around the goal that you add for your athlete, there's two other things that do influence the ramp and the intensity of the training schedule for your athletes. And this is under the cog top right, training intensity and adaptation. So not new again, but just letting you know that it doesn't sit where it used to sit. So looking at your fatigue tolerance here and then your training load. So your loading to recovery cycle, which can also be customized, which you probably all know that anyway. But just want to let you know that we haven't missed that. It's just not sitting in the goal configuration anymore.
Metrics. I'm just going to jump in. It was in metrics, wasn't it?
I don't think our summary is different either, but just want to let you know again, because that tends to be something that can easily be missed just because of where the little drop down sits. But you can filter by all of these specifics now and view by the date range that you select from the calendar as well. So again, not new, just a lot more streamlined and simple in how you access that information for your athletes. I just want to show you that there.
I will add as well, I really like the summary on the mobile screen. On the mobile screen, when you click on the view summary at the bottom of the plan screen, it's I think it really does highlight some of the really cool summary information that you need.
Yeah, perfect. So, oh, Pav, I kind of almost wish that you were doing this demo right now because I got to give you kudos. I remember having a conversation, I don't know, last October or November with the team, and you were so keen about pushing this feature and getting all of the metrics and the progress and all of the viewable analyses in one place on the app, both on the web and the mobile. And we did it. Like it's happened. And so I just think that it would be very cool for you to be showing this because I feel like you really drove this feature. I absolutely love it. You might not love that we're using your account right now to do the overview, but so this is the progress icon that I've selected here. This is literally where you're going to go to see all of the analyses for your athlete. It's also where you're going to add your metrics. So you add your values over here. All that functions in the same way that it used to. So we don't need to go a deep dive into that. Something that I missed when I sort of first saw this was, this is not a scroll down, I mean, it's a scroll down screen, but it's specific to each of these cards. So that was aerobic and metabolic. This is sleep, health metrics. So clicking through each of these cards at the top will produce a different display down below. So Pav, can you verify, is there anything new that we're displaying here that we didn't display before? I'm just trying to think.
Yeah, so goal stats is really cool now, right? Because you can see about in the middle of your screen, Rae, to the left, it says current goal and there's a drop down. But you can see that there would be all the different goals in there and then the progress towards those goals. So you can filter that. And probably one of my favorite things, oh yeah, it's because, sorry, if you could then go to something like activity stats. There you go. And then rather than seeing the goal drop down, we can now see the dates.
Yeah.
This, for me, is one of the coolest things I've ever seen as a coach in terms of working with various different platforms and stuff like that. The ability to select a date range. I love year to date as an example. So essentially what we're saying there, Jan 1st to May 15th, when you click done, what we can do is we can actually scroll backwards and we can see Jan 1st to May 15th, 2024. So we can really compare two as customizable date ranges as you want to make it and actually see that values, the differences for our athletes. So, that this is probably the most relevant screen activity stats, but aside from goal stats, this does this across the board on all of these metrics. So we can look at efficiency factor over different times, or even what sleep was like for a year before. We can look at it by sport. Yeah, exactly, Ray. So and stuff like that. So for me, this is just making data, viewing data as a coach, absolutely next level.
We also have the lab report option here. So if you're fortunate enough for any of your athletes to have access to a HPH lab, this is where that would come up. What that looks like is a literal login for the lab test results that athlete has had uploaded from the lab. So you get direct access to that report. And then, of course, the just simple activity log if you're looking for something in particular, and you can filter that. So just a nice, easy way, rather than scrolling through a schedule for months or weeks at a time, you can come here and filter the activity log by whatever you want.
Absolutely. I will add to the lab report thing. So I appreciate as a coach, you might have preferred labs, or even do some of this yourself, or have athletes that have blood lactate sensors from home and stuff like that. But the HPH lab experience is second to none. Ray, you've been pretty much all the way through it. I've been there when other athletes, I've sent my clients to them. The data that comes back is not just really usable, but the fact that it's in HumanGO and automatically updates the coached athlete's profile, like the aerobic and metabolic, is absolutely amazing. It takes so much less time for me as a coach to go in and customize a coached athlete account when they've got that lab data there. So really, if it is, as Ray says, if it's accessible, I can't recommend highly enough sending or recommending your clients go into an HPH performance lab.
That's all the newies, the new features. Can we open it up to, are we good to open it up to questions?
Yeah, absolutely, Ray. So I
Yeah.
had four come in, four really good questions. You've managed to answer two of them. So we've got two. Yeah, exactly. So the two that you answered, Ray, were the drag and drop. Someone asked us about that, which is a great new feature. Someone asked about the fatigue tolerance, couldn't find that. So you've answered that. Fantastic work. Now, one thing that I've actually seen this quite a lot from users as they've been reaching out to us, but one of the coaches on the call asked, how can you add an activity? And maybe this is because it didn't sync with the downtime yesterday. How can you add an activity that was completed but not uploaded? So that's the little plus. So rather than that, wow, that's a great one to show in a minute as well, actually. But it's the plus icon in the top right of just above the calendar.
Oh,
yeah, that one. Yeah.
So that might be a velocity ride or a Zwift ride, or just something that was recorded without it being linked to a workout. So past activity, and then you're just searching your desktop, or you can even create that manually. It doesn't have to have a file attached, whichever. Yeah.
Obviously, the file makes it easier. So being able to just drop the fit file in there or whatever, it just does it automatically. And one thing we're going to release, hopefully for the next sort of mini update in the next month, is the ability to migrate mass amounts of data. So if you've got, I don't know, 5 years stored on, or even longer, I guess, on a different platform for a coached athlete, you'll be able to get that in a zip file. We'll figure out how that looks in the UI, but you'll be able to upload it. And it takes a while, obviously, to process it all, but it will be in available to view for your athletes.
And I did notice that I overlooked that feature when I was
gonna say that, yeah, especially from the ad sessions of the week. And then also you could show that what happens when you try and move a workout on my calendar from Friday or Saturday to Friday. That'd be great, Ray. Thank you.
Yeah, so this is just adding without going to the training week and adding another regular block to the training week. Just ad hoc, I want to add a new workout to this athlete's program on Friday, because adding 2 is not enough for Pav. We're going to I have some options here. So Hugo's basically going to prompt you as to what kind of workout you want to add and how you want to deal with that. So do I want to just add one session to my week? Do I want to, and in which case I would end up being prompted to select that workout. I can ask HumanGO for a suggestion, and in which case HumanGO's going to scan the workouts for the week, the compliance, going to look at the goal and the availability, and it's going to make a suggestion with all of that. So I would say if the athlete is just asking for an extra session because they've got a little extra time up their sleeve, that's probably the best option, because HumanGO's going to crunch the numbers and come up with something that fits all of the parameters, the whole profile of the athlete. Now, if you have something in particular in mind, you can also select specifically from the workout library. So that actually is an upgrade. That's a massive improvement in how we treat adding a workout. So now we do that. And then if I drag and drop, it's a little slow on the UI. I just noticed sometimes it just takes a little longer for that to, yeah. So HumanGO's noticed I've made a change to this week. Do I want to move that to just this Friday? Because I've moved the workout from Saturday to Friday. Do I want that to be the case for every Friday now and ongoing? So that would actually have an impact on my training week on a permanent basis. And then I can ask HumanGO to replan based on those changes or not, right? Sometimes just adding a workout ad hoc is, I don't really need to replan for that. I'm confident the athlete can absorb that training load, or I've had a really good reason. I just want to add this on this Friday, but I can also ask HumanGO to replan. In particular, if I would add that to every Friday ongoing, that's going to change that progression, the training ramp, and everything else relating to that athlete's goal.
Absolutely. I will add to that as well. You will only see this pop up on the week that the week it is currently. The intention or the assumption is if you're doing this in a month in the future, you're doing a specific change. You're not changing your training week, because you wouldn't necessarily do that from the advanced. So yeah. Carl, we have a question. We actually had an extra question come in. Thank you for this. Used to have access to HumanGO thresholds for each sport. If you changed one metric, it used to show you what HumanGO calculated as the right metric. So if we can go to progress, aerobic and metabolic. So on the mobile, if you go to the same screen on the mobile, there is a hamburger icon, I think it is, and you can click on that and it shows you all the historic entries. We don't have the comparison or check the check HumanGO value or whatever it was. But yes, certainly that's where you can see all the historic. And there's recent values down there for the web. So hopefully that answers your question. Obviously, feel free to type again in the Q&A if not. But one last question, Rae. That did answer the question. Thank you for confirming. Energy distribution, Rae. So we both missed this in goals, in phases. How can we change the energy distribution if you don't necessarily agree with what was the template week, I guess?
Yeah, I did show that. I just didn't go in too deep.
Oh,
well,
sorry about that.
Yeah, no, because it's not changed. It's just different. It's displayed in a different place. So again, by the goal, because we're looking at phase level edit now. So let's just go to the edit goal for the mountain bike. And across the top here, I went 1, 2, 3, 4. On the second one, we viewed the phases. Remember, I added that 5K goal, and all those functions are still there. So I can add a new phase, I can delete, or I can edit the phase. And when I edit, I come into the same page or edit screen that I would have before, where I can, although what's nice now is that I can actually give that a specific name and even describe it. Like if I've, made this a complete, I don't know, zone 2, base phase, I can call that whatever I want. And in the same way, I can toggle between the sports. I can set the regular and long duration. We don't have the regular long anymore, so that's been simplified. You can edit those values, and then you can look at the energy distribution here as well, all exposed to you for editing.
And I think we can wrap up there, Ray. Definitely, as you mentioned at the beginning, the help center is the marketing team. Actually, Jess has done an amazing job, kind of doing some little touch ups to some of the thumbnails, and made it really does transform the help center. The videos, Ray, you did an absolutely amazing job of the web app videos. Really is a really great resource now. But like Ray, as you said, any issues, please do feel free to reach out to us by email. Thank you so much.